Hey, I'm Jusko from ProblemMoney.com. In this video, we are going to look at the best credit cards issued by Citi or Citibank if you are old school. Before we do, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So we are going to look at the best credit cards issued by Citi, Citi branded cards only. I'm going to leave out the Costco cards, going to leave out the American Airlines cards. We're going to look at these sort of general market cards that Citi has. There are 7 cards, 4 of which I could recommend to you. The other ones I have a little bit of an issue with, and we'll talk about those when we get to them. Now, when I first scripted out this video, I went back and forth between 2 Citi cards trying to decide which one I thought should be number 1. Ultimately, I chose the card that I think has the broadest appeal and probably the longest shelf life in terms of your happiness with it. That is the Citi Custom Cash Card, a no annual fee cashback card that is giving you 5% cash back in the purchasing category where you spend the most each billing cycle. There are predetermined purchasing categories where you can potentially get that 5%, so you can't just make up your own categories. Those are things like dining, grocery stores, gas stations, home improvement stores, travel, fitness clubs, entertainment, and there are some more on that list. So wherever you spend the most each billing cycle, you're going to get 5%. Everything else is going to get you 1%. There is a cap each billing cycle of $500 in purchases in that 5% category where you're going to get that 5%. If you go beyond $500 and whatever your highest purchasing category is, everything beyond that would get 1%. And then again, any other purchases would get you 1%. New cardholder bonus opportunity on this card. You can earn $200 as I make this video if you spend at least $1,500 with the card in the first 6 months of having it. So that's a good long stretch there to be able to do a decent spend. So most people are probably going to be able to get their hands on that bonus opportunity. Now, the way some people might use this card is as their everyday credit card. They might be happy to just put all their purchases on it, and whichever category happens to be the one that they get 5%, they'll be happy with that and probably happy with the card overall. For many people, they get this card as a complimentary card to maybe other credit cards they have, and they choose a purchasing category where they want to get 5%. And maybe use a different card for their other purchases. That is up to you. Now, some people will complain about that $500 cap per month on your 5% category, but I don't know how much you have to complain about really here. You've got a no annual fee card that has a decent bonus. You're getting 5% cash back. Sure, it would be nice if they capped it at like, $7,000 per month or $100,000 per month, but we can't always get everything that we want. We might want to get 20% back. We might want to get 100% back, but this is a pretty good card when you look at other things on the market, and it is a very unique card compared to pretty much anything else out there. Number 2 on the list is the Citi Premier card. Now, this card is a $95 annual fee, and that's why it ultimately comes in at number 2 instead of number 1. Some people don't ever want to pay an annual fee, which I understand, but there are reasons why you might be willing to pay it for this card. In terms of everyday rewards, you're going to get 3 points per dollar or 3% cash back on your big categories, including supermarkets, gas stations, restaurants, air and hotel travel, and you're going to get 1% back on everything else. There is a potential yearly $100 hotel credit if you book a hotel stay of at least $500 through Citi's Thank You travel portal. You will get a $100 credit, which you could think of, if you do that and that's okay with you, as essentially covering that $95 annual fee. So that's something to consider as well. Now, the reason that this card really kind of was in combat for that number 1 position is because, as I make this video, huge bonus opportunity. You can get 80,000 points if you can spend $4,000 with the card in the first 3 months of having it. Now, 80,000 points at the very least should be worth at least $800 of value to you. You might even be able to get more in value if you use those points toward travel. So you get a $95 annual fee card. Even if you hold this card for 4 or 5 years or maybe longer, especially if you use that hotel credit, well, getting $800 of value at least on the front end, it's going to be worth it to pay that $95 annual fee, and you're getting good rewards along the way as well. So yeah, maybe if you held this card for a very, very long time, ultimately you'd say, well, now I'm paying an annual fee for $800 I got a long time ago. So Citi might have to think as time goes on whether they want to make some changes to this card to keep people happy for the long haul. But as I make this video, a very good opportunity. Number 3 on the list is Citi Double Cash Card, no annual fee, 2% cash back on everything that you buy, no purchasing categories to consider. It's just 2% everywhere. Now, they give you that 2% in sort of a convoluted way. You get 1% on the front end when you make the purchase. You get the other 1% when you actually pay off the purchase. For those of us that pay off our cards every month in full, which you should be doing, well, then you're going to realize that 2% pretty quick, and so it's not really going to feel any different. But there are cards out there in the market now that compete with this card that just give you the 2% right up front. You don't have to think about the fact of getting 1% here and 1% there. I think that eventually Citi's probably going to go that same route. They were the first one to come out with a 2% flat cashback card like this, so they could kind of have that convoluted formula because everybody was pretty excited about the card. Now with the other competitors out there doing the same thing and just giving that 2% upfront, Citi might have to follow suit eventually, like they did with the new cardholder bonus. There did not used to be one. Now, as I make this video, at least you can get a $200 bonus if you spend at least $1,500 with the card in the first 6 months of having it. Even though this card's been out there for a while and it is a little bit convoluted in how you get that reward, still a pretty strong card. Number 4 is the Citi Rewards Plus card. On the surface, this card looks a little meh, but if you look a little closer, you can see where there's potential value. In particular, if you're someone that makes a good number of purchases that are small purchases with your credit card, you could get some good value here. And if you have other Citi cards, this card also has the ability to get you something a little bit extra when you combine points from different cards. So first off, let's look at the rewards on this card. You're going to get 5 points per dollar on your restaurant purchases for the first year, and that's on up to $6,000 in purchases. That is your cap for the year. After that, you're going to get 1% every year after that, and every dollar that you spend beyond that $6,000 in the first year. Now, on an ongoing basis, you're going to get 2 points per dollar on supermarket purchases. You're going to get 2 points per dollar on gas station purchases, just 1 point per dollar on everything else with this card. Now, where it gets interesting is in 2 other features. First off, you have the roundup feature, which allows you to get a higher percentage in terms of your rewards on those smaller purchases, because everything that you buy with the Citi Rewards Plus card, they actually round up the points that you are going to earn to the next 10. So if you make a purchase of something of $2.50, they're going to give you 10 points. If you make a purchase of something that is $13, they're going to give you 20 points. So it's actually a much higher percentage once you have that roundup feature. And then secondarily, when you go to redeem your points, you are going to get a 10% rebate on everything that you redeem. So let's say you redeem 25,000 points, well, they're going to give you whatever you wanted for that 25,000 points, but you're also going to get 2,500 points back, a 10% rebate on those points to start you toward your next reward. And if you have other Citi cards, you can actually combine points and you can get that extra rebate with those points when they are combined with the Citi Rewards Plus card. So that makes the card a heck of a lot more interesting. You have the same potential bonus or close to the same bonus on this card as the other ones we've talked about. You can get 20,000 points if you spend $1,500 with the card in the first 6 months of having it. All right, so those are the big 4 rewards cards from Citi. Those are the ones that I could recommend to someone without reservations, depending on what they were looking for. The other 3 cards, I do have some reservations about. I am going to lump together the next 2, those being the Citi Simplicity and the Citi Diamond Preferred card, because they are very similar. In fact, I'm not even sure why they both exist, because there's not a whole lot of difference between them. Both of them are going to give you a 0% rate on your new purchases with the card for the first 12 billing cycles that you have the card. They are going to give you a 0% rate on balance transfers for 21 billing cycles, which sounds really good, except you do have a 5% balance transfer fee when you actually transfer a balance onto one of those cards. So you're going to have to pay a good amount up front. A lot of cards out there in the market have a 3% balance transfer fee, even though they might have a lesser time in terms of which you get the 0% rate. So you'd have to kind of do that calculation for yourself. The thing that bothers me a little bit about these cards with the 0% rate is that they don't balance out the 0% rate so that it is the same both for purchases and balance transfers. The 0% rate on your purchases ends before your 0% rate on your balance transfers. And what that means is When you get to the end of those first 12 billing cycles, when you've been getting the 0% rate on your new purchases, you're no longer having the 0% rate on your new purchases, right? However, you still have the 0% rate on your balance transfers. And what Citi does is they say, okay, now that your 0% offer is over for those new purchases, if you make new purchases on the card going forward, you have to pay off not only your new purchases, but any balance that you had left over in the balance transfer offer if you don't want to get charged any interest. So it's not like they continue to just separate those two things and say as long as you pay off the purchases, you can still have your balance transfer sitting there at 0%. Now if you want to avoid interest, you have to pay off everything. So in some ways that 21 months of balance transfer goes away if you make any new purchases on the card after the first 12 billing cycles. So it's a little convoluted, a little hard to understand. Took multiple readings for me to figure out exactly how that would work. And both of these cards have the same thing, and that's something that bothers me a little bit about how they work. In terms of the differences between these two cards, the Citi Simplicity card has a couple things going for it. It has no late fees, so if you pay late, you're not going to get charged anything. Not if you don't ever pay, but if you pay late by like a few days, you're not going to get charged anything. And it also has no penalty APR. So again, if you pay late, there's no chance that they're going to jack your interest rate up. The Citi Diamond Preferred card does have a potential late payment, and you do have the potential to get a penalty APR if you don't pay off your purchases, at least in a somewhat timely manner. The only sort of thing going for the Citi Diamond Preferred over the Citi Simplicity card is that the ongoing interest rate is a little bit less, like maybe 1% than what you would get on the Citi Simplicity card. But overall, I'd probably choose the Simplicity card before the Diamond Preferred. But again, I think one of them could go away. And then rounding out the list is the Citi Secured MasterCard, a secured credit card that is targeted at people that don't have a credit history or maybe who have had some credit problems in the past. Although the way Citi talks about it, it seems like they are more looking for people that don't have a credit history than people with bad credit. Anyway, it has no annual fee, which is good for a secured card. It has a interest rate, as I make this video, of 25.49%. The idea behind a secured card for many people, though, is not only to build credit, but it is also the hope that if they carry that card for a while and they do everything right, they are going to graduate from a secured card, where they had to put a deposit down in order to get the card, to an unsecured card. So they would get that deposit back and continue to use the card, or maybe even get upgraded to a better card. Citi's reputation is that when you get their secured card, oftentimes it doesn't graduate for a long time. So when you look sort of around the market with some other issuers out there, others have reputations of graduating you much quicker than Citi does. So when you put down a deposit in order to get a credit card to try to build credit, you'd like to get that deposit back in a fairly timely manner, as long as you show that you are making your payments on time and doing everything that you should. And Citi's reputation is that they might hold that for a very long time before they would graduate you, and the only way to get your money back is to close the card down. Now, that may not be true across the board, but that is how people often talk about it. They have some frustration sometimes with Citi versus others. For example, Discover is a secured card that I would probably say oftentimes you can get, and you can graduate pretty quickly, maybe 6 to 8 months after you get the card, as long as you're making your payments on time, which obviously is the ideal if you're someone that's trying to build or rebuild your credit. So that is it. Questions, comments, anything you think I forgot, please put those in the comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not going to go to the website, or you're not going to leave a comment for some crazy reason, probably you will want to watch this video next.